Welcome, audience. I have a wonderful guest with me today. She is a really special lady to me. We are going to be talking about the value of women in mentorship. We're going to be talking about building bridges, breaking barriers, but basically just talking about the importance of women in mentorship. I have a lovely guest with me today. So before I even introduce her, let me properly welcome my guests or my audience, I should say. Welcome to Deep Roots with Niger Babe in Texas, the podcast where we explore stories, strategies, and sisterhood that inspire both living and intentional growth. I am your host, Ogechi, with Deep Roots with Niger Baby in Texas, and today we're discussing a powerful and necessary topic. Like I mentioned earlier, women in mentorship. Whether you're starting your career, navigating life transitions, or reaching back to lift others as you climb the corporate ladder, or even within your own businesses. I think there's always that value of mentorship, and it truly, truly plays a vital role in our personal and professional journeys. But what does proper mentorship look like? How do you find, nurture, and become that guiding light for someone else? So I am talking today with an incredible woman, Meyer, who has been, I'm not going to break down during this conversation, or this part of the conversation, but she's been a great mentor to me over the years. She's just a wonderful human being. I have Meyer, who has, I will say, walked the talk, mentored, she's menteed and championed the value of connection with not just women, but with pretty much humans in general. She's been amazing to me, and I know she's been amazing to a number of different people out there. Gay is a seasoned change leader with over 30 years of global experience, driving transformation across industries such as insurance, financial services, consumer goods. She has led initiatives for top Fortune 500 companies and private organizations, including ExxonMobil, IBM, Pfizer, USAA, and Cox Automotive, with a focus of transforming people, processes, technology, and culture. And we know that that's a lot of work to do. Just the people and the process part, not to talk about technology and culture, especially culture is really hard to change, but she's been amazing at it, and I've seen her at work. Her work has taken her to over 40 countries, but her greatest joy is her family. Now they are all together in Austin, in the Austin area, or should I say Austin, Texas. So, Gay, welcome to Deep Roots with Niger Baby in Texas. I am excited and happy to have you here. We've been planning this for a while, but I'm excited that we've actually made this happen. So, thank you.
Okay, Fee, it's my pleasure. Absolutely. I'm smiling so big just knowing that you are doing this podcast and you're covering off on the important topics for women and for one another and people in general. I'm just so proud of you. I am also breaking down a bit. Just, we've had a long time mentoring relationship, and it's been a very, very special one through times of challenge in both of our careers and in our corporate relationships. I don't know if you really know how much you mean to me. I just so appreciate the friendship and the conversation and the vulnerability.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah, I would say we're very vulnerable with one another, very transparent. Yeah. So that's something we'll be touching on in this conversation, people, because to be vulnerable with your mentor or with your mentee is really, really critical. But I'm not going to jump into that yet. But basically, we're going to explore the impact of women supporting women, which I think is really important across, what word do I want to use that's politically correct? Across all, I would say, political groups. I'd say basically it's a diverse discussion that we're having. So it's not just for, Black women and Black women only, or white women and white women only. It's about everybody. How do we all mentor each other as women, as humans, and supporting each other? So that's basically what we're going to be exploring today. Share lessons learned and offer insights into building meaningful relationships that empowers us all. So let's dig in. Gay, I want my guests to get to know you a little bit. I know I've done an introduction about you, but can you briefly introduce yourself I know I've
Yeah.
a mouthful a few minutes ago, but I thought it was probably something that I've missed. But if you can share or introduce yourself, what role has mentorship played in your journey and what made you start mentoring others like
Yeah.
me?
I will share, Jake is aware that I am failed retiree. So that litany of companies that she listed, my last assignment was at USAA, and that's where we met and started our mentoring relationship. And I did retire from USAA, but I
She
went
sure
back.
did.
I think I lasted 6 weeks, right? And what drove that is I just missed my community of women. So I got
Hmm.
quickly back into the workforce and was very clear with my new employer that I was there to be a mentor. That's my number one role, and help women in the organization of Cox Automotive, where, by the way, it's very, very male dominated, and help them navigate that world. So they let me do that, and it's just such a precious kind of situation that I'm in. I get to do the things that I love and
Hmm.
help them develop their culture. And naturally, I'm a part of their women's group, and I'm engaged there. But as you touched on, I'm also a mother and a grandmother
Hmm.
to four amazing babies. And that keeps me busy, right?
Yeah.
I think that the grandmother mentoring relationships I've discovered are super powerful. I'm not
Hmm.
kidding. The two girls, the granddaughters that I have, who are 8 and 6, there are moments I'm pretty convinced that, yeah, they love their mother, but man, I am the person that when I speak, they pay attention. And so it carries with it so much weight,
Yes.
about a lot of things, that talking to them about relationships and talking to them about their little spiritual life and other things they're starting
Hmm.
to learn about. It's precious. The work that I do, as you mentioned, is around change. How do you, and I kind of work through transformations and change with companies with an art and a science view.
Yes.
Yeah, we got to put plans together and we got to train people for all these changes, but I like to blend that with the behavioral cultural piece, helping people realize that, hey, change involves emotions and
Yes.
it involves people. And
Yes.
so, how do you bring that into these companies and make them aware that, boy, if you really want to meet your business goals, you better pay attention to not only the stuff, the processes and technology, but the people that have to get you there with the new way of working. So that's my focus from a work perspective. If you asked that question again, how has mentorship played in my journey?
Hmm.
It's a little complex early in my career. And I think that's important to know about my background, right? I'm a
Yeah.
60-year-old woman who's had a long, long career.
And
So
I may add
you
is
have to
sick.
have that perspective, right? And early on, I had a lot of great mentors. I had a couple of work mentors in my first jobs that I would tell you were proactively reaching back and pulling forward. But
Wow, that's
the pull
amazing.
forward was a little easier, right? Because it
Mm.
was from individual contributor jobs to moving slightly into management. But those mentors, those female mentors, became so scarce as you grew in your career because they weren't there. You ran out of steps, right? So they're willing
Yeah.
to help you, but it got a little bit tougher. So for me, the reason I started mentoring others because I felt like it was the middle of your career where women really needed the help. Women get pigeonholed in these roles. Taking that middle management step was so tough. So that's kind of who I focused on at that point.
And I have to tell the story about how we met because I think it was powerful for me because I have worked with I mean, I've had some good female mentors in my life, but I have never really had good experiences working with females.
Mm-hmm.
And I happened to be working with this group of women, and it was a struggle. But I'm always the type of person that's always looking for the next thing, right? Constantly trying to learn, trying to grow myself and moving up the corporate ladder. And so there was an opportunity to be part of, I think it was one of these things that USA had about trying to get into middle management or being recognized to get into middle management. There was a training that you had to go through. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
completing that application of that process of going through there. And Gary happened to be one of the people that was not just assessing those individuals, but also making the decision about who should be given this opportunity. And so I went to her, talked with her, had my little interview process. I didn't get it, but what I did get was a lady who was willing to go because there was something about her in the way she was just honest, she was transparent, she was having a conversation about why I didn't get it and just the process, but she was very authentic about the process. And I said to myself, I really need to have her as a mentor. I have been blessed by her throughout that journey because of her, I was part of a leaning group with other women and I met wonderful other women along the way. And so it's just been a beautiful journey. So my message is really don't be afraid to, if you see somebody that you're connecting with, don't be afraid to ask for that support. But luckily for me, Gay was already willing to provide that for me without me really asking for it as much. And so it was always available for me night and day. So again, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. But ladies, there are good people out there. So don't be afraid to get a mentor and to reach out to finding somebody. But that's our little story.
You know what, Ogechi, the topic you just brought up is so important because I would tell you my experience was similar. I describe it too as, why do I have a harder time with women? Why do I have these experiences in the workplace where I would tell you when I had something going on that was the challenge at work, it was associated with a female leader versus male leader. And that's worth exploring. Maybe that's a different podcast.
Yes, another topic.
Yeah, it's hard,
Yep.
That's why I kind of mentioned that the longer you're in the workforce and the more you're navigating that ladder or lattice or whatever you want to call it, you start to see fewer and fewer hands reaching back. I believe it's because a lot of us fought so hard to get there. The few spots that are available that we're very protective of them. And there's a little attitude of, hey, I got here, I struggled, it was hard. Keep on trying, girl.
Exactly. You get there with a pat on the back, right?
Yeah.
But it's more than that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's more
we
than
can
that.
talk about that because I had some decent male mentors.
Yes.
That they had the positions and so they were willing. It was easier for them to reach back because they were the guys in charge and they had jobs. So, but some of them did. And I think it's important to note that don't just brush aside the fact that you can go to these men that you have connections with. And if they're not comfortable taking on a mentor relationship, they have like-minded people they can suggest you to.
Yeah, I've always had male and female mentors. And for me, what has really worked is on both sides, the ones that have lasted longer were the ones who were very authentic, very vulnerable, very approachable, always willing to give. And there are not that many people out there, but there are others who they may not be as authentic or as vulnerable, but there's also value in what they bring because they're very structured. You go in there, you have a conversation, but you come out with something, right? So for me, it's always looking at there are going to be times when you need that vulnerability. You need somebody that you can really be yourself with. But there are going to be times that you also need somebody who can really be rigid, be no nonsense, for lack of a better word, and still be able to give you something out of it. As long as you know what you're going there for and what you want to get out of that individual, sometimes it turns around in some ways where sometimes you as the mentee become the mentor for your for the person who's mentoring you and vice versa. And that to me has evolved that mentor-mentee relationship into just a relationship in general, right? Where you can actually talk to somebody about pretty much everything and anything. And it's interesting to see how that flourishes. Alrighty.
Yeah. And Rachel, I think you and I've talked about this before. That's why maybe it's more than just a few mentors, it's a board of directors, right? Because
Yes.
everyone needs that person who's like, no kidding, gay. I saw this behavior. You need to work on this opportunity.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, more straightforward with you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Harder to do if you've developed more of a friendship.
Yeah. Okay. So let's define what mentorship means for women in today's context. I think the world is changing constantly, or should I say, working relationships are changing constantly. Mm. And so I don't know how you're going to answer this question, but how would you define what mentorship means for women in today's context?
Yeah, it's moving fast, right? I'm a change person. So
yes.
AI, let's just talk AI, right?
Yes.
That is like exploding all over. There's so much change. It's coming so fast. There's so much adaptation that people have to do. I think that means, hey, I've got to look at mentorship differently. This is kind of buzzwordy-ish, but you can't look at your career as a ladder anymore.
Yes.
Your career now, especially in the technical world, is skills-based. And do I have the next set of tools that these companies are looking for? AI happens to be the talk of the big thing right now, right? Mm-hmm. And so your mentorship has to kind of help you navigate that versus, oh, I'm going to move from manager, director, senior director. I'm going to move from this kind of work to this kind of work to this kind of work. And I think that means you're picking mentors based on your growth from a skills and capabilities perspective versus a ladder perspective. I want to have an innovative mentor over here who's already exploring the latest thing. Mm-hmm. So skills-based versus ladder-based is probably the next best thing. I know it. I work for a software development company, Cox Autos. They own Kelley Blue Book and Auto Trader. And hierarchy is not important anymore.
Correct.
The best.
Never was really.
Right. Yeah.
Just personally, never was, but yeah.
Yeah. But what you know and what tools you have in your back pocket actually influence how you get paid now. Yes. They also influence the power and influence you have in the company. Mm-hmm. You can be this engineer that has he knows this little niche, and people bow down to him. Mm-hmm. And he has no direct reports, right? He is just Mr. Techie over there. So where do you find the mentorships based on the growth and development you're wanting to do in your job? I think it's important to start pivoting that. Yeah, and I would add, you also have to have passion for it too. So if you don't have passion for what it is you're trying to do, skills-based, with the changes that's going on, look for what it is you're passionate about, and you will see yourself flourish in that aspect as well. So, but everything you said is really spot on. And I think we've already touched on this, right? You can have peer mentors, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody who works within your team. You can have cross-gender, because we've expanded on that a little bit. And there's this word called... Go ahead. I would say probably cross company, right? Don't just look in your own company. Yes. In your own industry, look for mentors who are doing other things. If you're in the insurance and banking industry, you should probably have some mentors who are in, consumer goods or some other completely different field and industry. Because again, it's skills based, and everyone needs the skills of change management or project management or AI. Yeah, agreed. Do you think that women often lack access to informal power networks? I think we have been pretty good about creating our own, right? Yeah. So a lot of women have started creating the circles where they can get together, and in their organizations, they are doing that. Whether they are as powerful as what men have on the outside. I don't know that we're there yet, right? We're not having the golf game yet. It's the old school version, but we're not. And where are we meeting up to take care of one another? Yeah, you can get some alumni stuff, so there's some school networks, but we're still not, I think, where men are we're meeting outside of work. I agree. We're so busy, right? We still have all the same responsibilities. Yeah, still have to take care of children.
pick up kids, drop off kids, cook. So
That's right.
it's kind of hard to be able to balance that out. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. And what I remembered what I was going to say. This conversation is really not just about corporate mentorship, right? This is even
Yeah.
for those folks who own businesses. Those
Right.
conversations that we're having are just as important in that realm as well as in corporations or non-profits and all of that good stuff. So
Maybe even more important for self-employed because, it
yes,
is really hard to work on on an island when you're trying to build a business. And I think
yes.
they need mentors more than any other group.
Well said. Well said. Well said. So, what challenges do you believe that women face when founding or becoming mentors?
I think we put our own barriers on that, to be honest. We are very busy people. And so this whole time thing, we have a hard time imagining how we would fit in, a weekly call of 10 or 15 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we could somehow start to recognize and realize that it doesn't have to be so formal, right? I'm
Yes.
looking for someone who can make themselves available. That's what I love about our relationship, okay?
Yes, because
We
you'd
have
always tell me
commitment,
that.
right?
Just call me anytime and reach out to me anytime. You don't have to schedule a
Yeah,
meeting in order for us to
that's
have a conversation. Yes.
that's right. Yeah, I think you wanted to be very formal about it at first, and then
Because
it's
I
like,
tend to respect
no.
your time and all of that good stuff. But yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, as a mentor, when you see that calendar invite every week, the challenge comes in. I have a deep responsibility to the person who's coming to meet with me.
Mm-hmm.
The shift I had to make was, oh no, I'm just enjoying Ogechi coming to visit. She's coming with her own agenda. So I get to take on this wonderful listener role and then provide, what may or may not be sage advice in the moment, but at least the pressure was off of me to say, okay, I've got three mentors and they're all going to set up weekly meetings with me. And oh my goodness, now that's a part of my schedule. So as soon as you say, it doesn't have to be that way, it can be very informal. And you put the onus on the mentee to come with what they need.
Yes.
I don't have to prep. They're coming and I'm just, helping them through a challenge or, whatever we're discussing that day.
I think you hit the nail on the head, which is really from a mentor perspective, you're really listening, right?
Yeah.
You may not have the answers to everything. And sometimes
Right.
you don't need to have all the answers during that conversation.
Yeah.
But you're really leveraging that listening skill to be able to listen to what this person's issue may be or discussion or conversation is about for you to think about and then probably come back later on and say, I don't have an answer for you today, but once I get it, I'll send you something, right? And that's where that
Yeah.
informal aspect comes into play. And so
I have had a breakup with a mentee before, right? So I think you go into the relationship saying this isn't a lifelong commitment.
exactly.
We're not getting married. And there are these times, I've had it happen twice actually. There are times when in one situation, the mentee outgrew me, to be honest. They needed something
Exactly.
different.
Yes.
I was
Yes.
no longer able to help them. And I've done the breakup before, and because they were just showing up, it just became so rote that I was like, I don't think this is a good relationship anymore. I can't help you. And in one case, you didn't want to be helped anymore. So I think going into it, not thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to sign up for a year. It's a subscription.
That's a very good point. Yes, I agree. I have broken up with my mentors along the way, or
Yeah.
mentees have broken up with me along the way. So everybody's road or direction or life paths are going to take them into so many different places.
Right.
But again, that's a relationship that you've built because sometimes I go back to some of my mentors that I no longer talk to as much, but we're able to continue or build from where we last left off, right?
Sure.
Because it's still a relationship that you have, but it's
Right.
okay to break up from time to time. So basically, what I'm hearing you say is it doesn't have to be formal. It can be informal. The role of the mentor is really to listen. And there are going to be times when those relationships can be broken up for a variety of reasons, right? And yes, there are time constraints, but it really depends on the mentor, what works for them, and you being flexible to be able to accommodate them and vice versa, right?
Yeah.
So, because it's a two-way relationship, it's not just a one-way relationship.
Take the pressure off of them. I think that's what makes it successful. If you have the ability as the mentee to say, hey, Day, I can't make it this week, and there's no repercussions for that. And I have the ability to say, I'm loaded. Can you call me at home instead of at work? Whatever this, being flexible and not making it a burden on the mentor. Because I think if you are looking at higher levels in the org, they have a lot of folks asking because there's so few, right?
Yeah.
A lot of women coming.
Especially the good ones. Yeah.
Yeah, they do. And so they're trying to manage all of that. I think if you just, and then I mentioned it earlier, come with an agenda, remind them, hey, remember we were working on this because, they don't want feel like it's another meeting that they've had.
Yeah. That they have to own all the responsibilities
Yes.
of managing the conversation. So you kind of started tying into the next segment of the conversation, which is really about what makes mentorships relationships. So to your point, coming with setting clear expectations up front, being prepared, taking the initiative, right? We've talked about earlier, the mentor really has that, their responsibility is really to listen deeply to your conversations, and whatever they can do to support you, they'll do their best. But keeping in mind that they have other things that they need to do. And especially for those who are higher up, I mean, there would be times that Gay and I she would have to cancel meetings, on me, and I would have to do the same because I also have workloads and she has workloads that she has to accomplish. But we always figure out a way to have the conversations either via Slack, via phone call, so be flexible, basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So,
yeah. And you already mentioned the other important is vulnerability.
yeah.
And how do you build a trusting relationship? Because when you find a mentor and you're seeking their help, you're likely discussing challenges you might have with a coworker or another leader, and so you're really trusting them to hold that in confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I think building that and then finding a safe space where you can be vulnerable. The mentor does the same, right? I mean,
yes.
You know probably as much about me as I know about you. And it wasn't always lovely, right? It was vulnerable and challenging because we're humans going through things at home and things at work, and sometimes it was the same person.
Yeah. Jay has been there through all the ups and downs in my life. That much I can say. Yeah. So,
and likewise,
not every mentor is like that, right? So, again, it goes back to that vulnerability discussion, or the fact that some people may not have the time or even have the bandwidth or even have the emotions to be able to give you some of that vulnerability. But they do have other things or other gifts that they can give you. So look for the gifts or understand what type of gifts that you want to give for one person versus the other. I think one of the reasons I was lucky is that I'm good at reading people. So that helps me in trying to define, okay, I need this person because I want them to be straight up with me about certain things. But I need this person because I want to be able to be myself, right? And not feel like I'm going crazy with some of these thoughts that I have in my head. Who can I be vulnerable with? And so you need to be able to manage through both of those. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're coming towards the end of our conversation. So how to get involved in a mentorship relationship, right? What would you suggest? How do they navigate it? For somebody who's never done it before, how should they approach? How do you start?
Yeah, there's great formal ways to get mentorships, but just make it easy. Find a person that has what you want. You mentioned earlier, there's some people you're going to because you want straight talk. There's some people you're going to because you really need some emotional help here and there's something going on. I have never had anyone turn down a 15-minute conversation. But if you make it I'd like to meet for 6 months and this month I'm going to do this, it's overwhelming. So it's okay to just say, can I grab 15 minutes? And then at the end of that 15 minutes, say, would you mind if we meet again? So I think the informal works. And again, people don't turn that down. You may not go back again, but they don't deny a 15-minute conversation.
Yeah. And that 15 minutes first initial conversation, you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you as to whether they want to continue this conversation or not. So
right, you'll get a good sign.
Exactly. Exactly. So to your point, I would also say it has to be somebody you admire. It has to be somebody that you see something in them that either you don't have or you want or you appreciate that you want to be able to have that connection or conversation with. I see those as having conversations with the next generation, right?
Sure.
So if you have the opportunity to have one of those individuals that you can mentor, go ahead and mentor them. Complaining is not going to do any good, but guiding and understanding and listening will help them see things from a different perspective. And again, you don't know what their journey is. So
and they can teach you so much.
Exactly. Because they teach me to not look at work as the all end and be all. We've grown up in a different generation where you worked was who you were, but they look at it differently, right?
Very differently.
Yeah. So there's a lot to learn from each and every generation. So Gail, thank you for this wonderful conversation. I think from this conversation, I've identified some additional topics.
Wonderful.
That we can tap into at a future time. My question to you, right, before we end is that, are there any programs or resources that you would like to recommend? Or is there anything that you would like to recommend to the audience that may help them? Anything from your experience that you can recommend to people?
I think maybe looking at your specialty. So if it's truly about, if you're wanting a mentor because you're in the workplace and you want to learn more about your field, I would look there. So I look there. We have networking groups within the industry of change management. And I've just started, it's a community I'm a part of. So me mentoring new change managers and finding mentorship myself with folks who are in that community. So
that's good.
I don't know if you're a part of, I'm a part of ACMP, Association of Change Management Professionals, and we have a networking group and mentoring group. So I think finding them in those industry spots, and that kind of goes with my theory that you've got to find mentors who are learning new skills, the skills that you want to grow and develop.
I'm learning something from this conversation, that's for sure. Okay, that's a really good one. Good. Okay, gang, I know I've taken up some of your time today, or should I say a lot of your time today, but this was a very enriching conversation for myself, and I know it would be for the audience as well. So I just want to say thank you for your time. And then to the audience, thank you for tuning in to Deep Roots with Niger Baby in Texas. If this episode spoke to you in any way, please share it, like it, share with another woman who inspires you, and subscribe. Until next time, we'll keep growing. And please be a mentor to somebody. There's always something that you can teach somebody that somebody does not have, or a skill set that they don't have, or not just in their corporate environment, but even in their personal lives as well, or businesses. So if there's anything you can do to help somebody else, please take that on, and you'll be rewarded for it in so many different ways. So thank you, Gabe, for your time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Look forward to talking to you and having a mentee session if you're ready.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.